Kick-ass facts, pew pew pew! We are still on our dumb criminals deep dive. In 2011, a man attempted to rob the Halifax Bank in London. He demanded the teller fill a bag with £700,000, but accidentally handed over his gun instead of the bag. The bank teller froze for a second as the would-be thief realized his mistake, made a grab for the gun, and then ran off as the security shutters came down. Bank employees immediately raised the alarm, but the thief escaped after stealing a bank employee's bike and pedaling off. This one's my absolute favorite. In 1995, MacArthur Wheeler and Clifton Earl Johnson were arrested for robbing two Greater Pittsburgh banks at gunpoint. And you know what? I still don't know how they were caught. This was like a Kaiser Sose level plan. Lemon juice is used in invisible ink. Therefore, if they rubbed lemon juice on their faces, it would make them invisible to security cameras. Although initially skeptical, Wheeler had tested this method by covering his face in lemon juice and then taking a picture of it with a Polaroid camera. He was missing from the resulting photograph, so he trusted the method to be effective. Detectives believe his absence in the image was caused by either bad film, a maladjusted camera, or him just not pointing it at his face, which, if you listen to the rest of the story, that's probably it. In 1995, Klaus Schmidt attempted a pretty routine bank robbery in Berlin, armed with a gun and demanding money. Bank employees noticed something was amiss when Schmidt responded oddly during the robbery, revealing that he was deaf. An employee asked if Schmidt needed a bag, to which he replied, "You're damn right it's a real gun." Seizing the opportunity, one employee discreetly triggered the bank's alarm. Despite the blaring sirens and approaching police, Schmidt remained surprisingly composed, occasionally issuing threats. The police swiftly arrested him, and then Schmidt later tried to sue the bank, alleging they exploited his disability. In 2013, 22-year-old James Blankenship tried to break in and rob his own mother's home in broad daylight. He got spooked and went to hide in the crawl space. The police found him there, and when he was informed of his charges, he said, "I thought you could only be charged with burglary if you break in during the nighttime." In 2013, a UK homeowner realized that his house had been burgled, so he called the police, who arrived on scene, examined the entry point, and started interviewing the victim. Imagine their surprise when, as they were standing there, a second burglar, Darren Kimpton, rocked up to the door and started to let himself in. Kimpton tried to rob a house earlier in the day, but cut himself and fled, not before leaving a trail of blood that they used to identify him in that crime as well. In 2015, 32-year-old Andrew Hennels was caught after he posted on Facebook about his plan to rob a supermarket. In the post that included a selfie, a picture of a knife, and the words, "Doing Tesco, over." Police caught him 15 minutes later with a knife and £410 in cash stolen from a Tesco in Kings Lynn, Norfolk. In 2012, officials were left baffled by an Afghan Taliban commander who gave himself up and then tried to claim the $100 reward for his capture. Mohammed Ashan, a mid to low-level Taliban commander, was suspected of organizing attacks on U.S. and Afghan troops in the east of the country. According to reports, he walked up to a police checkpoint, pointed at a wanted poster of his face, and asked for the $100 finder's fee. The authorities were at a loss to explain his actions, although one U.S. official reportedly told journalists, "Clearly, this man is an imbecile." In 2015, 19-year-old Logan James from the UK was a criminal on the run when he took the ill-advised approach of taunting Gwent police when they posted a Facebook appeal to trace him. He replied to the Facebook post with, "Ha ha, catch me if you can, won't see me slippin'." He later told a news agency, "I've been walking around near my home, so they're not trying that hard to catch me." He was caught later that day, and the police thanked him for drawing attention to their efforts to return him to prison. In 2014, 27-year-old Welshman Dean Smith went into his local bank to change his address when he spotted the cash in the tills. He returned half an hour later to rob the bank in, wait for this disguise, sunglasses and socks over his shoes. The teller refused to give him money and he walked out empty-handed. He was caught shortly after because he had literally just given the bank his name and address 30 minutes earlier. There is something to that, though. If you see a crime in progress, pay attention to the shoes, because most criminals, they could take off a jacket, put on a cap, put on sunglasses, like the way they do in the Avengers, but they never think about changing their shoes. In 2014, a suspected car thief in South Africa was foiled when the auto lock system of the car he allegedly broke into trapped him inside. The man used a jamming device to get into the vehicle. The doors locked him inside and he couldn't get out. He started to panic and asked passersby for help, saying he was one of the city's many car guards. Apparently, the man was stuck for an hour and a half shouting for help when amused passersby pointed it and laughed. When the owner of the car returned, she yelled, "What are you doing in my car?" before unlocking it, at which point officers promptly arrested him. In 2016, a 51-year-old man was arrested in Vancouver after calling the police during a robbery he was trying to commit. He was trying to break into the house through a skylight when he slid down the roof and got stuck. Unable to descend the 7.6 meters to the ground, he called 911 and asked for help. Police arrived with the help of Vancouver Fire and Rescue. They got him off the roof and straight into jail.